Hi everyone. In this video, I'll try to explain how to use human agent negotiation interface. You start by logging into the system using your username and the password. This will open this interface for you, and it will load the first negotiation scenario you will be asked to negotiate in. We have three different scenarios, and the order in which you will see them is random. So you will not see them in order. In this case, the first scenario I've seen is the groceries distribution scenario. And here there's a short description of what is the scenario about. In this scenario, you and an agent bought 4 items of 4 types of fruits, and you are negotiating about how to distribute them between yourselves. So you have apples, bananas, oranges, and watermelons, and the negotiation issue is how many items will you get. So you can get 0 up to 4 from each one of them. Of course, you act as a human. There is also a long description that can give you more information. You can also read that. And there are sometimes some useful hints. So this one is telling you that the most important item for you is the orange, and the least important item for you is the watermelon. And you can see a complete view of your preferences that you should be using in this negotiation in the Preferences tab here. So you can see two components. The first one is the weight or the value of each issue. So for you, orange has a very high value. If you get one orange, it will give you 41.9% of the complete set. But if you get an apple, you'll get 22.6%. And watermelon is the least important. So as if you remember here, it said that orange is the most important, watermelon is the least important, and that's what we can see here. So you should understand what is the value of each issue for you to make decisions about how to negotiate in a better way. And on this part, for this scenario, actually, it will not be very different between one issue and another. This part shows for every issue what is the value for each possible value of that issue. So for the apple issue, how many apples will you get? If you get 0 apples, you get 0 value. If you get 1 apple, you get 25 points. If you get 2 apples, you get 50. 3 apples, 75. If you get 4 apples, it will be 100. You will always find that the maximum value here is 100 in all in your negotiations. The third component you need to understand is what's called the reserved value. So the reserved value is the value you get if you did not agree with the agent. So if the negotiation failed to reach an agreement, what will you get? Sometimes it will be 0, so you get nothing. In this case, you should reach any agreement because any agreement is better than nothing. But sometimes it will be a number like this, so 25%. This means, for example, that if you get one watermelon that is less than the reserved value, should never agree to an offer like that. Okay? So this part describes the scenario information and your preference that you will be using, and you should read that before starting the negotiation. Because now time is not counting, but once you press the start button, time will start counting on you. This user results will give you your previous results in this scenario and other scenarios as well. Okay? And once you understand the situation, you can start the negotiation. Once you start the negotiation, the interface is complete. And I will start by describing the most important part that you need to understand. This is this part, which will show you in a chat-like interface what's happening in the negotiation. So here, the agent is telling you, you get nothing. I don't want to give you anything. Okay, that is their first offer. And in this part down here, you can choose what is your response, what will be your offer to them, and send the offer, or you can accept the offer. In this case, that would be crazy because their offer is giving you a value of 0. You can always see the value of every offer for you here. So this is giving you 0, and your reserved value is 25%. So it makes no sense to accept that. Ending the negotiation is too early now. Ending the negotiation just means you will get the reserved value. Sometimes this may be a good idea if you find that the result value is very high, but usually it will not be very high. Okay, so let's send this offer, which the offer it is suggesting for us is to get everything. So get 4 of everything. So let's send that. I get everything. Okay. So they conceded a little. They said, no, you'll get 1 orange. And you can see that this is giving you 10.5%. Okay. And now you have to respond. You can just insist. So send the same offer again. I get everything. So they said, you get 1 watermelon. This is even worse than before. And this can happen because this is not a zero-sum game. Their value for things are different than your value for things. Okay? So that is 4%, that's 10%. These are very bad numbers. I can get 25 here. So maybe I need to start thinking about conceding a little. So what about I will get, so he wanted me to get an orange, so he's okay with oranges and watermelon. So let's say, what is the least important thing he didn't offer? The banana. So let's say I don't want any bananas. This will give me 80.6%. So that's a large drop. I will do it, and I will offer 4, 4, 4, and no bananas. Okay. So he said, no, you get 1 apple. And you can see here on this part what's happening in time. So this negotiation is now at step 7. If you count these, you will find that there are 7 offers of 100. So the maximum allowed number of offers is 100 offers. But there's also a limit on time, which is 5 minutes. And we already used 2 minutes of them thinking about these things. So now I want to offer them something that is not very bad for me, but slightly different than what I'm offering now. Now I can either keep trying things here, or I can use the tools on the right and the left. So I'll explain this. First tool is this utility inverter tool. It allows you to decide a utility range and gives you an outcome in this utility range. So for example, I want something with a utility between, let's say, 60 something and 90 something. So utility range is 20. So you'll notice here, it gives you all the outcomes in this range, and I can choose one of them. So I'll choose, let's say, this one. When you choose it, it is written here. You can see that this number is the same as this number. And now I send this offer. Okay, so I'm offering them 4 apples, 1 banana, and 1 orange. He's still insisting giving me only one thing. So he's conceding really, really slowly. So he says, get 1 banana. I can now decide what to do, but just for the sake of showing you the next step, I will just accept this offer. So I will just change the action, even though that's very bad for me, but I will accept. So I accepted the offer. It will show you that the negotiation succeeded with agreement and you got a banana. So because you accepted that, and this will give you the utility value of 4.8%, which is actually worse than your reserved value. You should never have done that. Okay. Okay. Now we explained only one tool, this utility inverter tool. I want to also show you the other tools. They are not very active. They are not active now because the negotiation have ended, but we can see how did they look like during the negotiation. So this is the first tool, the utility plot. On the x-axis, it shows you the relative time, the step, or the time, real time, in seconds. Relative time is all the number between 0 and 1. Near the end, at the end of the negotiation, it will become 1. And what it shows here is on the y-axis, these are your offers in red, and these are the agent's offer in blue. What is represented here is your utility from them. So you can see that you started at your best offer, and you started to concede. And they did something similar. They started with their best offer, which happened to be your worst offer. This is just what happened, most likely. And then they started to concede, but they went back. So you can using this figure, you may be able to understand something about what they are trying to do, and this can help you reach agreement. The second plot is the outcome plot. This is a different way to see the same thing. So in the x-axis, it shows one issue, on the y-axis another issue. So you can only show two issues. Here I'm choosing apple and banana, for example. And what you are seeing here is that they started with 0 apple and 1 banana. So if you remember, this was orange. So yes, so this shows how the offers are moving in the outcome space. So it's between 0 and 1. You can see that they don't want to give you so much apples or bananas. And you can check other things. So for example, change this to the watermelon, and I'll see what's happening here. So this may be less useful than utility plot. Something that's maybe very useful is the value histogram. The value histogram works as follows. For every issue, here, for example, here is Apple, it will show you how many times did each value of this issue offered by your opponent, so by the agent. So in this case, they offered me Apple, 0 Apple 4 times and 1 Apple once. And they never offered 2 or 3 or 4. This suggests that this apple, they like apples. They don't want to give me too many apples. Okay. So you can use this kind of analysis of using these tools to help you decide what to do next. But now a negotiation is finished, and notice there is a new tab here, session results. This will show you the results of this current session you are doing. And the user results will give you all the results of all negotiations you have conducted in the past. Okay. So now I completed a negotiation. I can just leave. If you want to leave, you should log out, or you load a new scenario. Okay, it happened to be of the same type. This happens a lot. So it's also in groceries distribution. And again, you can just start and you can do the same process again. And let's just end this negotiation. This means I will get the reserved value and I can load another negotiation. So that is a different scenario now, the island survival scenario, which is kind of similar. So you want to distribute a set of things. There are 8 things. You want to distribute them between you and the agent. And each one of you values them at different values. Again, you have to look at the preferences to understand how important is each item, because this will help you in your negotiation. Okay, let's start it, but let's not try anything. Let's end it again and start a new negotiation. Hopefully it will show us a different scenario, grocery distribution again. As you can see, they are random. You can't expect which scenario will come next. Yes, so that's the third scenario we have. It's a simple trading scenario. In this case, you are a buyer and you are negotiating with a seller to exchange or to trade up to 13 values in this case. So from 1 to 13 items. And this is the price. Doesn't really matter whether it is the price per item or the total price. Okay. And if you look at the preferences here, this will tell you what is the value of the quantity and what is the value of the price. So for you, quantity is more important than price, achieving the quantity you need. And the quantity you need is actually 6. That's why if you look at quantity, it is 6 here. And if you look at price, you'll find that the maximum, because you are buying, will be at the lowest price to give you 100 points. If you buy at the highest price, you get 0 points. And for the quantity, you have a target and you will lose if you are far from this target, either above it or below it. And your partner have a very similar structure, but you don't know it. And that's why this negotiation is interesting. You try to learn what they want during the negotiation. Okay. Again, you can start. This is the first offer, 3 items at 200, but I want 6 items at 100. That's my best offer. I can just reduce this a little bit and increase that a little bit. So and see what happens, but they are insisting on the same, and you can see that's how you continue the negotiation. After you end notice that whenever you press end the negotiation, it will end the negotiation with failure. You will get the reserved value, okay? Or if the timeout happens here, you will get the reserved value. So you have to also be conscious of the time here. And when there are 10 seconds remaining, you will notice that this will become red. So it will help you to make a decision near the end of the negotiation. Okay, so let's just accept this offer. So this means not succeeded, and I got 0%. That's a very bad decision. And we can now log out. Thank you.